The rift between the Big Ten and the SEC is holding up the future of the college football playoffs. So, what's next, and who's going to step in and solve this thing? I'll do it if I have to. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for checking us out, especially you everydayers. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We're making a big push for 20,000 subscribers by the start of football season. We're this close. Also, share, like, and follow if you can. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So this college football playoff stalemate between the Big Ten and the SEC, we're going to dive into this. A recruiting palooza. You know, I got like 8 schools. The latest news. In fact, some breaking news from Nebraska. Hang tight. Plus our Tuesday tweets at the end of the podcast. But by college football standards, the future of the college football playoffs and its format seemed so simple. It really did. I thought we were heading down all in the same direction, good to go. And I thought that we would finish up year 2 this year of the 12-team format at the end of the 2025 season. Couple of minor seeding tweaks, and then Tony Petitti in the Big Ten and Greg Sankey in the SEC would join forces and dictate the rules of engagement for 2026 and beyond for the future of the college football playoffs format. Well, the Big Ten and the SEC, they had all the power and all the leverage, and it was understood that they would be dictating the terms to everyone. Not everybody liked it, but they realized that's just how it was going to go down. Other conferences thought some of these ideas that were being thrown about was unfair, but they didn't have any power. And they could only voice their opinions to Petitti and Sankey and to the media, but that was about it. Just voices in the air. Really didn't have any power behind it. There were cries for the two, the Big Ten and the SEC, to put the well-being of college football ahead of the Big Ten and the SEC's interests. And a month ago, it looked like the Big Ten and the SEC were in alignment to expand the playoffs to 16 teams, but they would reserve 4 automatic qualifiers each because they were the strongest and most lucrative conferences. So it was settled. 8 of the 16 playoff spots were always going to go to the Big Ten and the SEC. That was half the field every year. No questions asked. Then the individual conference meetings started to take place this spring. The Big Ten had theirs. Business as usual. In fact, didn't make any news at all. Some people didn't even know the Big Ten held their meeting. Then the Big 12 and the ACC had their meetings, and they squawked a little bit about the automatic qualifiers, and it didn't amount to much. They did let everybody know they preferred the 5+11 format, 5 conference champions plus 11 at-large bids. That was the preferred format, even though they probably, in the case of Big 12, will get fewer teams in that way. But it was said, they said their piece. Then Greg Sankey met with his conference, and all heck broke loose. His athletic directors wanted 4 automatic qualifiers. Oh, and by the way, they wanted the SEC to add a 9th conference game to match the Big Ten. It would be more lucrative for their final budget bottom lines on their budgets. And then the SEC coaches said, no way. We don't want that. We don't want a 9th conference game. We don't want automatic qualifiers. We want to earn our way in. And by the end of the week, the SEC went from the 4-4-2-2-3-1 format to the 5+11 format and just totally flipped. Nothing official, of course, but that was the word. And then last week, the College Football Playoff Committee met in Asheville, North Carolina, and it was all the 10 conference commissioners and Notre Dame. They're all at the Biltmore Estate. They're all comparing notes, and their mission was to settle on a college football playoff format moving forward. They were supposed to get that done. They poured over all sorts of Google Analytics, and they tried to find some sort of baseline to compare strength of schedule. And afterward, they came up with nothing. Nothing. Back to the drawing board. Everybody went home to mull the stuff over that they had talked about. They have to come up with a plan for 2026 by December 1st of this year. They're running out of time. Now, the Big Ten and the SEC, which a month ago were on the same page, but now that the SEC is leaning to the 5+11 format, Big Ten wants 4 automatic qualifiers. They're at an impasse. The two most powerful decision makers in all this are at an impasse. There's nowhere to move forward right now. So somebody else is going to have to come up with a plan. And again, this is remarkable because these two conferences were in lockstep just a month ago. So that's somebody that's going to have to come up with a plan. If it's not me, by the way, may have to be the College Football Playoff Committee chair, Rich Clark. Now that would be ironic because it seemed that the power of the committee, the selection committee for the playoffs, was becoming more and more obsolete, or at least far less potent, if slots were going to be filled with automatic qualifiers. If every year we knew top 4 Big Ten teams were in, and the top 4 SEC teams, and the top 2 Big 12, and the top 2 ACC, so on and so forth. Once you kind of work it all down there, the committee would only really have 3 at-large spots to fill. And frankly, one of them is probably going to go to Notre Dame every year. So the job of the committee, instead of filling out a 12-team format or a 16-team format, they got like 2 teams they got to come up with. Everything else will be predetermined. Their power is almost neutered and diminished. And now they're the ones that may have to come up with some sort of solution. So he presented to everybody a lot of metrics that included data from a Google mathematician and a university math professor, basically a lot of nerds that were going to decide the future of college football. And they presented all this and try to come up with some sort of strength to schedule results and conference strength and non-conference games. And by the way, they did come up with a suggestion to play more non-conference games between the Power Fours that were of higher quality against better teams. That would help. Like if the Big Ten and the SEC played each other more in non-conference games, it would be easier to determine if the Big Ten or the SEC was a stronger conference or not overall when they're trying to figure out how many playoff teams to put in if they have to go to the at-large formula. So that got through, I think, a lot of people's heads. But the commissioners reportedly gave Clark their feedback on this to the college football playoff staff. And now everybody's going back home, trying to figure this thing out over the summer next to the pool. I don't know when the next meeting is. I presume Sankey and Petitti are talking at some point, but it seems like we're going back to the days of the BCS computers, which we all hated. I built a talk radio career on bashing the BCS for like a decade. And now with this close to coming back, it's ridiculous. And then on the other side, I mean, from the computers, then you got the human side. Nobody seems to like that. The human element with the committee, they don't do a good job of putting a field together. So, and ironically, that's the group that's maybe going to salvage this entire operation and salvage themselves, by the way, if you haven't noticed. I'm going to make another minor prediction here. If there is no resolution to this whole playoff format thing by the end of the summer, I'm wondering if they might kick the can down the road another year and just use the same format here that we're going to use at the end of 2025 with the 12-team playoff. And of course, they tweak the seedings a little bit and just use that for yet another year. But they're really desperate to increase it to 16 teams, though. So I don't know. Your thoughts. Love to hear from you. Hit me up with the comment section. That would be fantastic. Hey, also, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It's free. That way, you'll never miss an episode of Locked On Big Ten. And we are approaching 19,000. I want to get to 20,000 subscribers before the start of football season. Should be easy breezy. Thank you if you've already done that for us. Also, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, we have links where you can buy your favorite Big Ten team school merchandise, shirts, T-shirts, and hats, getting you ready for the 2025 season. So you can check all that out at talkbig10.com. All right. I have a lot we still have to get to. Recruiting. I got breaking news right now with Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana's getting a little nervous about one kid. Minnesota has a new quarterback. Purdue gets an athlete. Michigan State is red hot. We'll cover them all. Plus, we have our Tuesday tweets. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about FanDuel. If you watch games, you watch them because you're a sports fan, and it's exciting. Well, if you got a little something on it with FanDuel, it's even more exciting. It's thrilling. Summer, all summer long. Get into the swing of it with baseball under the lights, golf. You got high-stakes soccer. FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. You're a sports fan. Why not make it a little more thrilling, a little more exciting? With FanDuel, you can get in the game while your friends are out there getting sunburned on the beach. You can be making some money. So check out FanDuel, your favorite matchups. They got an app that keeps everything simple, fresh, and easy to use, fast payout. Even makes regular season games feel like the playoffs. So check that out. If you are new to FanDuel, great. Welcome aboard. Check it out. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Again, that's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below so you never miss an episode, and share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com, for podcasts and merchandise. So recruiting. Let's get into it. There's a lot going on here. Kids have been going to their visitation weekends and making decisions here, at least with verbal commitments on where to go for the class of 2026. We have already talked at length throughout the past week about Michigan out recruiting Notre Dame for a couple of impressive recruits, and now they may be getting another one from them. 4-star running back or defensive back Donovan Webb. He visited Ann Arbor a couple weeks ago, and he has canceled his visit to Notre Dame. What does that tell you? He said he will announce next week on July 2nd. Kansas State and Texas Tech, with all their money, still in the mix a little bit there. Jumping ahead to 2027, 4-star quarterback Malachi Ziegler was in Ann Arbor last week for the Michigan Quarterback Academy that they were holding, and he was actually named the MVP of the thing. He seems to like it over there at Michigan as well. And the country's number 2 linebacker, 4-star Caden Henderson, says he could see himself at Ohio State. That's right. He's from Florida. He just made his 3rd visit at Ohio State, and he was working out with James Laurinaitis over there. And as a sophomore, this kid had 92 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, and an interception. He is also considering Florida State, Miami, Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, Tennessee, and Oregon. But he seems to like Ohio State, so we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, maybe some uneasiness for Curt Cignetti and Indiana. So they got a verbal commit in corner Jay Timmons. He's a 4-star. And even though he's committed to Indiana, he just visited Florida State this weekend. He says he is considering the Seminoles. The fact that that recruit, a 4-star, is trying to figure out, do I go to Florida State or go to Indiana? How many times in the past were those two schools lumped in for the same recruits? It just kind of shows you how far Indiana has come in a year. And, of course, Florida State's coming off a disastrous year as well. Nevertheless, it is something to keep an eye on. But Indiana needs to make sure they land this player for good. But he is the son of former Steelers first-rounder Lawrence Timmons. And then Lawrence Timmons played at Florida State. And this kid's mom is a Seminole alum as well. Indiana only has one other corner in the 2026 class, 4-star Kashmir Hicks from Indianapolis. Speaking of tough flips here, 2.5 weeks ago, remember this story? We did a lot on this story. Edge rusher, 5-star edge rusher, Richard Wesley. Remember, he announced he was going to Oregon and play for Dan Lanning, and second highest rated edge rusher in the country. Now he says he's going to Texas. Remember, this is the kid that grabbed arms like Thelma and Louise with Dan Lanning and jumped into a pool, and he announced, I'm coming to Oregon, all over social media. Remember, his dad said, hold on. We got a plan here. We're sticking to it. He says, I think my son got caught up in the moment of the excitement. That's all well and good that he enjoyed his time at Oregon. We're not committing to Oregon yet. We got other schools to go to. And apparently Texas was one of them. So he says he's going to be a Longhorn. And I haven't got confirmation from the dad yet, though. So stay tuned, because guess what? He still has a visit scheduled with Ohio State. So we'll see. Keep an eye on Wesley, Richard Wesley, and his dad. More on Oregon. Oregon four-star wide receiver Jalen Lott has wrapped up an official visit with Oregon. Many feel he is leaning toward USC. Texas was a front runner, but now they're out of the mix, even though the kid's from Frisco, Texas. That's near Dallas. And he's got a sister attending USC. He says he's going to make his decision by July 8th. So we'll see how that one pairs out. More flip talk. Modern-day quarterback Furian Inferrera. That's a name. He has been verbally committed to Boston College since February, but now all of a sudden he says, you know what? I'm going to row the boat. I'm going to go play for PJ Fleck in Minnesota. So he flipped. They got him. That's a good get for PJ Fleck. It's a 6'3", 200-pound quarterback or linebacker or quarterback, and he comes from his quarterback comes from the same high school that Bryce Young and Matt Leinart and Matt Barkley came from. All right, now on to Nebraska. Keep an eye on wide receiver Nayland Scott. He is currently committed to Arizona State, but he was actually set to visit Lincoln this spring, but canceled when he liked what he saw at Arizona State. So it looked like they lost him. As the Huskers are winding down recruiting, they're focusing on weapons on the outside, and they just hosted wide receiver prospect Zion Robinson, and they're also interested in Florida wide receiver Larry Miles. Nebraska also got a verbal commit from three-star tight end Luke Sorensen. We talked about him last week. He had mentioned things on social media that made it seem like he was coming to Nebraska. He did everything but actually say he was coming to Nebraska. Now he says he's coming to Nebraska. So everybody can ease up there. And just before we took to the airwaves to tape this podcast, we got some news that three-star running back Jamal Rule from Charlotte, he had announced a few days ago that he was going to make his announcement Monday night, and he just did. He was considering Michigan State, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, and Syracuse. And his last visit was with red-hot Michigan State, so they had the last shot at him, but it's going to Nebraska. Says it's going to Nebraska. So Jamal Rule is going to play for Matt Rule. Spell their name differently, nevertheless. Let's give a shout-out to Purdue. They're off to a slow start, but they're starting to roll down the tracks a little bit. See what I did there? 6'6", 230-pound quarterback Dream Rashad. Yes, his name is Dream Rashad from Beaufort, Georgia, announced that he is going to Purdue. Technically, he's listed as an ambiguous athlete. Can play a lot of different positions. He does play quarterback. However, due to his enormous size, brand new coach Barry Odom may use him in a different capacity. The Boilers also already have a quarterback in this class in Corn Berry committed. And Rashad has visited Indiana and Nebraska, and he was scheduled to visit South Florida this week, but he decided on the Boilers. That's a win for Purdue. Purdue also landed commits from wide receiver Brandon Kinsley, offensive lineman Terrell Berryhill Jr., and defensive lineman Aiden Selecki. So they're starting to get things moving on the recruiting trail as well. I mentioned a minute ago, Michigan State, red hot, 19 commits so far for the class of 2026. They just flipped Tyron Wortham from Central Florida. Sarasota native, too, was going to stay close to home. 4-star, 6-foot-tall wide receiver. Also was in the mix at Georgia and Kansas State. So, hey, think about this for a minute. Jonathan Smith just out-recruited Georgia, Kirby Smart, for a 4-star wide receiver. That's pretty good. We did a podcast last week how Michigan State's really tearing it up on the recruiting trail. Go back and check it out for a second listen after this one. Would love to have you check it out if you missed it, if you're a Spartans fan. All right, coming up, we got to take a look at our Tuesday tweets. We always have features at the end of our podcast we're very proud of. We have a lot of fun with. Mondays, top 10 Big Ten observations. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. Follow us at Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Wednesdays, tomorrow, we'll power rank stuff. That's what we do every Wednesday. Thursdays, we take a look at the Big Ten Network and all their Big Ten classics. And Fridays, we look at odds and picks and point spreads and all that kind of stuff. Pigskin picks during the season. We'll have a lot of fun with that. So Tuesday tweets coming up in 1 minute. I can't wait. There's some good ones. By the way, Michigan State heavy today. They're doing great, man. They're doing great. All that coming up next here on Lockdown Big Ten. All right, let's take a look at our Tuesday tweets and put them on the screen here. If you're audio only, no problem. You're not missing out. I'll describe it in the best detail that I can. This is a wide shot of Michigan State Spartan Field, all sold out. This is from Michigan State Chief of Propaganda. Michigan State football continues to keep momentum rolling as we head into the heart of summer and talking about their success and the players that they're welcoming in, all the additions to East Lansing, a football program built on hard work and commitment. Yeah, you got to take your hat off them. They're doing a great job getting a lot of nice recruits there. Jonathan Smith getting it done. I told you there's going to be a lot of Michigan State stuff here. This is from @Kenny Jordan. It is a picture of Sparty, their mascot. Looks like he's at is it a Michigan basketball camp or kids camp, summer camp? Sparty showing up to camp, playing rock, paper, scissors with some of the campers there. There you go. Good looking mascot. It really, really is. Here we go. Some more. At Michigan State content, Jonathan Smith, picture of him in his sports coat and his glasses, and says heater. He's on a heater. He is hot. Jonathan Smith is hot. Hashtag go green. 14 commits just in June. The number 23 overall 2026 recruiting class. Again, we did a podcast on this very subject that they cracked the top 25 and they were rolling. We actually kind of paired them up, compared them to Michigan. A lot of Michigan people got upset with me, saying, hey, they're ahead of Michigan. Like, Michigan's 38th right now. Michigan State's 23rd. And a lot of people pointed out, and there's some truth to it. Michigan State's going big game hunting and trying to get a lot of 5 stars that just haven't committed yet. And that is true. But you can't deny what Michigan State is doing right now. So, and winning recruitments over the SEC and the Big 12, according to this tweet. And they are. We just told you about the one where he out-recruited Kirby Smart. Here is a picture of Aiden Childs. This is from Michigan State country. Some listings have Aiden Childs as a top 20 quarterback in 2025, and this one says Heisman 2026 with his face over there holding a Heisman trophy. Here's what I'm talking about. This is at Michigan State Chief of Propaganda, the second tweet we used. He had a good week. Get in there, little buddy. It is Jonathan Smith jamming Georgia's Kirby Smart into a locker. That's funny. He owns him. He's out recruiting him. Pretty good. On to Michigan, the Red Ranger. It is Sharon Moore holding a fist up with the final score of Michigan 13-10 over Ohio State. Says you come to Michigan to win Big Ten championships, national championships, and beat Ohio State. We also have one here, though, at the Wolverines. Says, boom, Michigan just landed a midnight commitment from 2026 running back Jonathan Brown, and here he is. And by the way, Jonathan Brown, he's from Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, they went into Columbus, Ohio, and got this 3-star running back this week. In fact, Jonathan Brown goes to the same high school as Ryan Day's kid, who's a quarterback there. Got his running back. Here is at a 5-star candidate wide receiver, Calvin Russell, walking out of the tunnel in the maize and blue. Looks good in the number 1. Would they give that to him? Here's one from Purdue. Gotta give them a shout out here. Goldenblack.com posting Josiah Hope, defensive lineman. Hashtag Purdue lands a commitment from 2026 3-star defensive lineman Josiah Hope, who was previously committed to Louisville. Yeah, we talked about that. They flipped him from Louisville. That was a good get. Yeah, Louisville, Coach Brom, former Purdue coach, lost the kid. Here is at Barry Odom. This is the new coach for Purdue. And a picture of Devin Maccabee, their running back, on stage. Congrats to at Devin Maccabee. He is a leader in every way. So out there talking to people. Here's one from Morgan at the Duck Zone. Update 2026 5-star tight end and current Oregon commit. Condre Harrison took a recent visit. Got some stats. 6'7", 243 pounds. That's your tight end, 6'7". Whoa. Number 2 tight end in the class. Number 2 player in the state of North Carolina. Number 20 nationally. Oregon visit. And this one is from at Ohio State Hoops. You recognize that? That's Jelly Roll. That's right, the singer. Great to have at Jelly Roll 615 in the house before he performs at Buckeye Fest tonight in the basketball arena. Pretty cool. Little concert from Jelly Roll at Ohio State. Anyway, those are our Tuesday tweets. I always have fun with those on a Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed all those. Feel free to send us a tweet at X at Talk Big Ten. Always looking to hear from you there. There are many ways for you to interact with this podcast as well. First of all, there's Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. There's our website, talkbig10.com. If you're on video, you see the scroll right there, number 10, talkbig10.com. We put all of our podcasts there. Always invite you to check out a second listen, maybe one that you missed earlier this week. And there are also links there along with all the schools. You can get school merchandise, shirts, t-shirts, and hats going into the 2025 season. I also ask you to subscribe. We're making a hard push. We're this close to 19,000. The goal was to get to 20,000 before the start of football season. I think we're going to get there. Thanks to all your help. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. But go ahead and subscribe so you never miss a single episode. It is free. It's always free. It never asks for any personal information. So that is right there at your fingertips as well. Also, word of mouth. Tell your friends about us. We're out here every single day, all 18 Big Ten teams, talking all kinds of sports. We talk news, recruiting. We give you opinions and analysis, all the above, all wrapped into one podcast. So if you're a Big Ten fan, and you are, if you're watching this and listen to this, I know you know other Big Ten people, friends, family member, alum. Let them know we're out here each and every day. Word of mouth is fantastic. Always appreciate that. Also inviting you for a second listen to our friend Brian Smith at the Portal Show. All things transfer portal right there. Go ahead and check him out as well on the college football landscape. Does a great job. But that'll do it for us. And hopefully you can join us again tomorrow. We're here every single day. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.